According to SNY, the Giants, the New York Football Giants, are in the market for a quarterback in the draft. This after giving Danny Dimes that monster deal a couple years ago. Giants have the number 6 overall pick, but Chelsea, they probably need to move up because the Bears, Commanders, Patriots all select before the Giants. And Caleb Williams is going to be gone. Jaden Daniels probably going to be gone. Drake May's probably going to be gone. So what are the Giants going to do? Do they actually try and trade up, or do they maybe take a shot at J.J. McCarthy or a Bo Nix, a Michael Penix? I cannot believe these guys I can believe it, but not after signing Daniel Jones.
I think when you need a quarterback, desperate times call for desperate measures. We see it all the time. I would say that they probably shouldn't trade for the first overall pick because it's going to absolutely cost them. But maybe you trade like a little further down the list because I think there are some decent quarterbacks that maybe you could get. But it just feels like the risk reward factor that, you go for the number 1 overall pick. It's very risky because this is what puts your organization underwater for like decades. Like, look at the Panthers.
Oh, I don't want to look at the Panthers. Why are you telling me to look at the Panthers? They're gross. They're terrible. Nobody wants to look at the Panthers. Yes, you're right. I certainly hope that things come together for Carolina and that Bryce Young steps it up next season because seems like a good guy. I understand why they took him, but they've got some work to do. And what are the Giants going to do? They're kind of in no man's land with that number 6 pick.
All right, so let's look for Cinderella here. Are there any mid-major squads or teams, even from, Power 5 conferences, that maybe people are overlooking going into the tournament?
That's a great question. I thought you all might ask that, and I've got a couple. I would worry about a team from the ACC, Wake Forest. They've only got a 1-6 record versus quad 1 teams, but they're a team that can get hot, shoot the basketball. They've got some size. Same deal with Florida. They've got excellent depth in the post, which I think you have to have in the NCAAs because they devolve into these half-court slugfests. But they've also got a deep and experienced guard group. Now, if you're looking for mid-majors, I'm going to give you McNeese State, coached by Will Wade, ex of LSU, ex of VCU. He's a good coach. Got into a little bit of trouble with an FBI wiretap. Lost his job at LSU. Didn't have to sit out that long, and has done an incredible job at McNeese. They had lost 20 last year. He comes in and works his recruiting magic. He has so many contacts and turned that team around. They're 22-3. But the team that I really like to kind of surprise people that might be off the radar is Appalachian State. They're coached by a friend of mine named Dustin Kearns. He's a really good coach. They're 24-5. They still have to win their league, the Sun Belt, to get in. But they are the number 1 shot blocking team in the country. I think if you're picking teams that could upset people, the first thing you have to look for is, do they have quality size to match up with the quality size of the inevitable power conference team? This team does. They've got shot blocking. They've got experienced guards. They've returned all 5 starters 2 of the last 3 years, which in this day and age, I wrote the story for Blue Ribbon on Appalachian State, and Dustin Kearns gave a great quote. He said, these days, the best form of recruiting is retention. So they have all 5 starters back. They're experienced, and they're 2-0 versus quad 1. So that's a team that I'll tell you, I don't know if they could be the FAU of this year, but they're certainly a team I wouldn't want to see in my bracket.
I wanted to ask you about Gonzaga. Is there a chance they could make some sort of postseason run here? They've kind of come on late, and it's fascinating to see them just now sort of getting into the top 25, coming off that victory over St. Mary's. They've won 8 straight as opposed to being a perennial top 5 or top 10 team all season. Or is this sort of wish casting?
I think they're back. They for I don't know, through February, they did not have a single quad one win. And that's unusual despite the tough scheduling that they always do. They always manage to bag some quad one wins over big time competition, but this year they hadn't. They lost a kid named Steele Venters early on to a knee injury. He was a transfer from Eastern Washington who might have been their version of Dalton Connect, a tall, rangy shooter. And I think they had to adjust without him for a while. But here recently, Mark Few did a smart thing. He scheduled a sure quad one game at Kentucky, and they go up there and they win that game. That was huge. And then the other night they won at St. Mary's, which has already won the West Coast Conference, but it was still a quad one win. So now they're sitting at 3-5 in quad one. Graham Ike is playing as well as any big man not named Zach Edey in the country right now. And I think they've just gotten their stuff together. And, this might be the year where, and Mark Few might like this. Maybe they're off the radar a little bit. And this is when maybe you can sneak up on people. So if there's such a thing as the Zags sneaking up on anybody, but this is a team that's starting to come into its own. Started in February and now in March, and those are the teams that you have to look out for.
Oh, gosh. You know me. I want to go with Xavier Worthy, but I can't. I got to go with Caitlin Clark. Xavier Worthy put on – it is a great highlight, and it's remarkable to see someone run that fast, a human being, be able to run the 40-yard dash that quickly. And I kind of thought he might break it because if you watch Texas football at all this season, Xavier Worthy is just a blur. And he's made of plastic or rubber. Like the guy can bend backwards and you're like, oh, he's hurt, and he limps off the field and then he's back on 2 plays later. Regardless, Caitlin Clark and what she continues to do, I think is special. And I love the fact that we're getting to watch it in real time. I love it when someone forces you to pay attention to what they're doing. Like they're so undeniable that you have to watch. And then not only do you have to watch, then you evolve into wanting to watch because you wonder, what is this athlete going to do next? And Pistol Pete, when he played, was unstoppable, absolutely unstoppable. Everyone knew he was going to score. You couldn't stop him. Same thing goes for Caitlin Clark. Everyone knows she's going to get the ball. Everyone knows she's going to pull up, take her shots. And guess what? You still cannot stop her. And just when we think we've seen her do something that we're never going to see again, she does something else. And she's obviously going to the WNBA next year. She's only going to get better. She hasn't even come close to reaching the ceiling of how good she can be. What a performance. Caitlin Clark it is for me.
We have to mention LeBron James, right? If we are talking about things that probably won't be done and having to pay attention to somebody simply because they keep putting forth great performances, it has to be LeBron James. 40,000 points. This feels like something that's not going to be broken, at least for a long time, because not only is LeBron James putting up fantastic numbers, this is his 20th season. The amount of games that LeBron James has played in the NBA is downright impressive. And the fact that at this stage of his career, that he is still posting great numbers. Right now, he's top 15 in the NBA in scoring. What was Michael Jordan doing 20 years after his career started? He certainly wasn't putting up these kind of numbers. So I feel like it has to be LeBron James. I know that Caitlin Clark certainly has a great case here, but think about the college ranks and why some of the best college players maybe aren't contending for this points record. It's because, in the men's ranks, you go to the NBA after a couple of seasons. You're just not playing in college that long. I'm not taking anything away from Caitlin Clark. I am just saying that LeBron James is doing it at the highest level for the longest amount of time. I feel like this is a record that's going to stand for a long time. So MVP of the weekend for me has to be LeBron James.